So, I welcome you to this preview of the English Premier League match day 28. We are closing in somehow. Title, well, it may still be tense, but we just look we look at the games and we of course rely on everyone is trying to win and do their best, even if maybe there's not so much at stake anymore, which always is because it's football. Sometimes in the closing stages it becomes a bit more that someone relaxes a bit because he reached his goals or so, and other one is fighting for his life. Anyway, it's in modern football, they all are trying. Anyway, we will do it with the assistance of my Betmaster Tool that you can get your access to as well if you follow the link in the description. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask them, and I'm happily giving introductions to the tool to anyone that is interested. And we have plenty of users already who are pretty happy with what they got, understanding still that it's needed to take the basic steps in the first place. And after this, you will be very pleased with what you get. And now we're going to have a look at the games. We do it the common way. We look at what the tool says with my settings. You even can adjust those settings anywhere, which is also a part you have to understand if you want to make full use of this tool. Because it's not just telling you what you should bet on, but you can more or less write your own luck. There are plenty of possibilities to study the stats, or we do this regularly here and also shows here or there how to adjust settings and what are the parameters to look at. If you build your tree, your personal tree with the leagues that you want to cover and that you want to compile the prices for and beat betting market at, then you will have a tree, and most likely you're going to build your own tree with your leagues that you favor. I've done this. I've got plenty of leagues here. The English Premier League is one of them. And here we see, usually I select the round, and we have round 28, which is coming up this weekend. And you can also unfold this so you have a little bit more space. And of course the prices have been compiled already. I compiled them on the 2nd of March, so that was yesterday. Games are starting at the 5th of March. So anyway, this is very actual. Although sometimes midweek there is a game here or there to be played later. Then I have a second method of compiling those prices, which you see here. And this method is an approved one, which I've done already in my old standalone version of this tool that I've been using now that I made it a web app for you. It's not having all the functions in it that I would like to have in the future, so it's growing as well, this tool. But here you have the statistical method that I introduced to my older tool and which is going to come into this one, which is more based on the stats the teams played at, and rather a little less taking care of the results. So here I would like to exclude the factor of luck a bit more. And I can predict like this how many shots I'm going to expect for the teams. This is based on the same algorithms that I use for the goal calculation. And all those values are being updated regularly, and we can compare later how well we predicted this. But it's turning all those expected stats into goal expectancies, which goes far beyond what X goals do. And so I'm having a second voice, a second opinion on the matches, more or less based on the results. And this would help us maybe a lot when we want to find out if we have a good bet. Leicester, we see here it's 175, the true price. I find a bit low, but they are both struggling, of course. 184 is the maximum. I can imagine you even get the 180. And this tool here would say, well, starting from 175 or so, you may have an edge on Leicester, who won the last game, I think, but against pretty low side. But of course, we compare it here. And we see here that the computer says, no, Leeds may have had terrible results, but usually their efforts are a lot better, or you overrated Leicester, or whatever it is. And I'm quite happy because I would not wish to bet on Leicester, who are just struggling. And if you want to have a closer look at the game, you can as well click on this and look at the game stats. And then we see that they are minus 4.56 in points, so they are clearly worse than expected. Minus 5.73 on the goals, which means, well, they actually scored more than I expected, or than this tool more or less with my settings expected for them, but they conceded a lot more, which means defensively they have been terrible. Leeds, for their part, they scored a lot less and conceded a lot more, so Leeds are even in worse shape here. So that would even give us maybe back the idea. Leicester won at Burnley, they drew before Chelsea, which were two decent results. They are just losing their games. Recently I thought they improved here a bit, and drawing here was still fine, but then they lost 4 in a row. So it reminds me again, maybe the 175 are not such an awful price. But I wouldn't bet it still. Aston Villa against Southampton, we have a 214 and goes up to 242. As I noticed already, this statistic-based method here tells me no, Southampton are a lot closer. So we have in both these games already, we have a pretty huge difference between what their results represents for them and what the statistics say. So this is, I mean, here we would say just simply the statistical method would teach us or tell us rather stay away. There is kind of a contradiction between these two, so we are not so certain about the games, which we very well accept, because we would like to have the really good bets. And the result bets, by the way, or to mention it again, would suggest that to go with Aston Villa. If you like it, you can still do. And but I would stay away. Burnley against Chelsea, obviously here, well, most likely computers suggest us once again to go with Burnley and against one of these top sides. I do not see Chelsea have been playing so incredibly well. They may have had the results, but their efforts were not so great. We look at how they played recently: draw, win, loss, draw. So just 2 wins in last 8, which means really shaky. They lost connection to Liverpool and Manchester City, and obviously I was more or less predicting this from the start. Burnley had their good results here, but lost to Leicester, as we just saw. They are a bit behind here. They are better on goals, which means defensively very good. At home 2-6-4, well, not such a great record, but still not conceding any goals. 12 goals in 12 games, but expected 17, so that defensively they were really good. Chelsea on the road scored 22, almost as many as I expected in 13. It's not amazing, but still fine. 8-3-2 is pretty decent record. Market usually leans a bit more towards the huge favorites, and we can compare it here, of course, but I don't think there is a different opinion, and it's even more leaning towards Burnley. So in fact we have no choice, and it's pretty common decision more or less to go with Burnley here, plus 1/2, right? This is the selection to be made, and we keep that in mind. And the price is here 2.81, so we lay like 150 something, which we happily would do. 155, 154 also. And means we pay less than the true price, which gives us some value. That's tool prediction, my prediction, also confirmed somehow by most recent results. Market usually still would say Chelsea are very good. Newcastle against Brighton, that looks pretty balanced here. Actually, I also wouldn't really find a tendency in this one. Newcastle had their results recently. They are considered to be slight favorites. Brighton still considered to be good, but we compare that with a statistical method, which I wouldn't stress too much in this one, because even here you have to keep in mind that this statistical based method is not fully implemented here. It's just more or less a rough guess. and it's not taking into account the development of the teams. It's just based on all the stats they played over the season, and that means Newcastle obviously have improved a lot recently. So I understand that this tool says Brighton are favourites. I accept very well market here, and we would of course happily witness here that Newcastle had produced some really good results recently. Also, they are not even behind anymore. They haven't lost in 7, so they have all the millions or billions or whatever. They lost last 3. So I understand very much market, but this is more or less confirmed here. No bet in this one, and I'm happy with it. With the result based, this is taking into account the last very good results, so it's upgrading Newcastle game by game, result by result, and while the other statistical method at the moment is not doing so. It's taking all the results together. Norwich against Brentford, I wouldn't have such a strong opinion on this one. Very slight favorites. Brentford to completely lost shape, but Norwich are also awful. I mean, we have a look at the statistic-based method first of all to find out what this one suggests here. And it says small favorites, no difference actually to this one. And so we are just happy market guiding the way. We don't have an indication really, and so we leave it alone. We fully agree. We know that they are, well, both of them are in dire straits now. Brentford also with some huge, of course, worries about containing league status, whereby they are the small side that surprised the league. Not too huge expectations, sorry. Wolves against Crystal Palace could even be a bet on Wolves, although Crystal Palace recently really performed well. We check this one. What does this tool say here? Well, it gives them somewhat better chances, so we have to stay away from this one. The 240 sounded like a good price to me, but I know that both are actually in decent shape, but 240 statistic-based method says us again, rather leave it alone. Oh, Wolves lost the last 2. Okay, before that they had been fine, 5 wins in 8, or 5 wins in 6 before that, and they are actually not in great shape. Whereby win here, draw here is okay. Burnley not beaten, losing to Chelsea by a goal, drawing here, drawing there. Okay, not great. Anyway, over the whole season they are fine. Also with the goal difference, very good. But so we would have to stay away. Sadly, for the statistical-based method. And Gabriel is going to join us in a minute, I hope. Liverpool against West Ham. We have a 143. Obviously, we never can go with Liverpool. It's 133 here. We know that. And we compare it here, first of all. Well, here it would even give West Ham slightly better chances, but 5.985. The only choice you have is go for the draw or away side 5.79. It's very marginally indicated, so if you like it, but Liverpool are in. You can join me. Billy, go ahead. I was just talking about Liverpool against West Ham. I'm recording this one here. There is a small chance to go with good morning. There is a small chance to go with West Ham 5.79, 9 something. Go for the draw here. They are having an excellent campaign. West Ham, right? Very good. Won the last one again. Even in touch with the Champions League places still, right? See that 45 points, 47. So great. Yeah. But of course, Liverpool are cruising. I mean, they are winning all their games by margins. Look at this. Win, 6 in a row, but they haven't lost 1 in last 4. So, a small chance to go with West Ham, confirmed by the statistical method. But who wants to go against Liverpool? But a draw is an indication and maybe a faint idea, a small chance. And very good price.
Sorry? Expectation of Liverpool 2.30.
This is all of this is used here for this compilation. There is a very small chance of 20% for the draw, but this is what the computer says based on these values, right? So if these values are right, and if you take the whole campaign and count the goals that Liverpool scored, also you will of course find out they scored more than 2 per game and so on. And at home it will be even more, 10 wins, 3. So in 13 games, 36, that's like 2.8 something. But they only conceded 15 in 13, that's almost 1.1 goal only. So if you take more or less the average of these two, you would somewhere land at 2.3. Also, it all makes sense, right? It's all those calculations are going well. Still, you can say, well, it is football. Liverpool know what they need. They know how to steer the game, how to score the goals they managed in so many games. And so if it's a draw, which West Ham would be very happy with, they would still be able to step up a gear and maybe say, okay, we're still going to score. This is Liverpool, right? But the probability still is calculated on basis of these values, who are hardly in much doubt. It's goal expectancies and other can't do much better. What market does is go lower on Liverpool, as so many people want to bet on that. They are all looking for the safe bet, and they say, oh, Liverpool, they won the last 6, so I'm gonna bet Liverpool, and that's why the price is lower than it most likely should be. And that's why we have the value there. But I understand everyone who's afraid, that says, I know how good they are and they can score at leisure. And then you lose the money. But 20% is low chance. If you win more than you should win. 5.0 would be the true price, and 5.75 is more than that. Watford against Arsenal. Here even the computer says possibly go with Arsenal. I do not really know why they would be negative about it. We compared here, but here it's confirmed that Watford are not so awful, right? Statistical method says there is a better chance for Watford, so we instantly skip this, whereby it's rarely the case that the computer wants to have a favorite. And I don't fully understand market here, but if it's fine, right? I can't complain. But Arsenal have been in decent shape. I mean, win, draw, win, draw. It's a tough league. Drawing at Tottenham or so, it's not an awful result. But that's the way things go. And Watford are not in awful shape and not even considered to be that strong. Minus 6.145 points, so clearly too few. And also on the goals, they are terrible, whereby Arsenal are actually, well, they caught up. They are doing fine. This is plus many more points than expected, and also the goals, they are doing fine. You see that. Yeah, 38, slightly better. Sorry?
Same expected, see.
Yeah, but a bit better. Even a bit better, right? But this is my settings. If you have them higher, then you would have higher expectations or expectancies, and then you would fail. But I'm trying to get them right. I more or less got them right, but maybe they were even a bit better. Whereby the statistical method would tell us, no, they weren't, possibly not so good. Or Watford were a bit better. This big derby we usually skip. And here it would say, go with Manchester United. I don't know if I would give them a chance. What is the table really looking like? Because I wonder, it's 3 points, or is it 6 points now? Or is it a game in hand? Oh, it's 6 points in the game in hand. Okay. It means more or less like 3 points. So Manchester City are in some need, right? 66. I mean, if they lose, even Liverpool might take over. They even got the better, right? If they lose this big one, then Liverpool could be top. So it's a big one for Manchester City, whereby a draw is not an awful result for them. I mean, I mean, everyone in the market loves Manchester City and more or less dislikes Manchester United. I see, but that's why the price is so low. I mean, I really do not dare to say you have to go with Manchester United. We even compare it, of course, here, and that those derbies you can't win. And lucky enough, this one is saying Manchester City are so much better. So here you have the proof that Manchester United are really awful, right? The results are somehow, well, up and down, but not great, but not horrible.
It's a great difference.
But no, well, it's a great one. It's like confirming market, which is just fine for us. So we are happy. But anyway, even if I would say now small chance for Manchester United in such a big derby, traditional one, and I might even consider to go with Manchester United, but I'm happy that's not indicated. But those derbies, I would always say, watch out, something is very special about them. I think I'm gonna quit this one here just to make this noise, to turn it off. So we don't have a bet again in this one, and in Tottenham Everton, do we even have a chance to go with Tottenham? No, I wouldn't like to do that, although they improved a lot recently. Well, we check it out here, but also Everton had been improving. Here it says clearly better chances for Everton, so we would not by any means go with Tottenham. So my first impression is right. I don't want Tottenham, and this is confirmed here. If we look at the game stats here in more detail, I'm actually quite pleased with my tool because it's giving me very decent price, and also this confirmation with the Tottenham had a good spell, then they lost 3-1 at Manchester City, which was great, and the Manchester City curse, like the Bayern curse, they lost right away. Then they won at Leeds with 4 goals, and whereby Leeds, Everton, no any improvement here, terrible, and 5 losses in 6, and I don't know. I mean, obviously here we would have, but they lost to Manchester City. Anyway, well, terrible shape and some trouble even in holding on to the league status. But still, I wouldn't wish to have Tottenham here. Is it really? Well, that's 3 teams behind them, 22 points. It looks terrible. Still, they have 2 games in hand. They might hold on, right? But it looks awful, I have to admit. Here. Anyway, we stay away from this one. So to sum it up, we don't have any real bets. This is in the Burnley one. We could go with Burnley, which looks fine. In the no, this one we skipped. Here we have the draw. Maybe this looks really terrible. In sense of finding bets, no bets really. I mean, what does it sound like? You go in Burnley against Chelsea, you go for the 1x maybe, and in Liverpool West Ham you go for the draw. But I can't find any more than that. And I thank you very much for watching, and I'm gonna